Hello everybody, Abbott's brother here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the performance of some old gaming PCs versus Assassin's Creed Valhalla on Linux. Assassin's Creed Valhalla was developed by Ubisoft Montreal, published by Ubisoft, and released on PC November 10th, 2020. It uses the Ubisoft Anvil engine and the DirectX 12 API. And you can see the minimum and recommended specs on screen here. Pretty demanding in its time, but not quite so demanding these days. For first test system, we'll be using the FX-8320e and the Radeon R9 290. Unfortunately, this game does run just fine on this system on Windows, but on Linux, we get unable to initialize graphics system. GPU does not support DirectX 12. Now, the R9 290 does support DirectX 12 feature set 12.0, and that is what is needed to run Assassin's Creed Valhalla. So I don't understand why it doesn't work, but unfortunately, it does not work. This test system 2 will be using the i7-4790 and GTX 1060 6GB. And you can see here we are at 1080p, and I thought we would start out with the low settings. If you watch videos on YouTube of the performance in Windows, you can see that it should be able to handle Valhalla pretty well at 1080p low, around 60 FPS, but here in Linux, we're dipping into the mid-40s. I mean, if the frame rate holds up even after we go down into Jorvik, I mean, it's playable frame rate, but it's definitely a big reduction over what the 1060 can achieve in this game at these settings on Windows. But that's just the NVIDIA driver penalty again. And that's going to be a recurring theme with this graphics card, unfortunately. And oh, that's not good. That's a complete freeze. I hope that's not something that is, I hope it's just a one-time thing. Maybe it's like compiling shaders or something. Alright, we're back in it here. We're gonna try running that again. Still the same settings. You can see the frame rate is still about the same. It's mid-40s to low 50s. Valhalla is a really good-looking game, even at low settings. The main thing with low settings is the draw distance. The draw distance, you can see stuff popping in right in front of you when you're moving around. It's kind of distracting. But visually, it looks pretty good, even at low settings. Oh, no. Alright, well, that's a problem. Let's see what... And you know this is not going to ever get fixed because NVIDIA, this is the final driver version for this card, so it's just, this is the way it is. I'm probably going to speed this up in post here, but let's see if we can find the errors. I don't know if this is the error that caused it, but that's the one thing that looks a little off to me. For test system 3, we're going to use the i7-5930K and the Radeon Vega 64. Hopefully Vega won't let us down. And for this one, we are at 1080p, the medium preset. And I left depth of field of motion blur on just so it doesn't say, you're using custom settings. Yeah, I know. So it's the 1080p medium preset. And wow, we are mid-80s to low 90s. Wow, Vega comes through again. I'm telling you. It's unfortunate so many people overclock the HBM on these cards and kill them because Vega has aged incredibly well. Okay, looking at the ground, we're in mid-70s. Mid to low 70s here. I chose Jorvik for the benchmark run just because it is the most demanding area in the game that I know of. You got a lot of NPCs usually walking around. There's usually snow effects happening on screen, which are, I think they're particle effects. And then you get the light rays if the sun's out. And we're in the mid to upper 70s here. So another very good showing by Vega. And it's only using about 4 gigs of VRAM, so if you have a card with 4 gigabytes of VRAM, like a RX-580, you obviously will have to turn the settings down, but this is very doable on a 4 gig card. That's why I was hoping to test the 290 in this game, because I thought that would represent another great value, and if you're going to run Windows on the FX system with the R9 290, it is a pretty good value, but unfortunately I couldn't get the 290 to boot. But the Vega's just churning through this here. Let's ride the horse a bit. Get some texture stream in, see if we can get the game to stutter, streaming in some new stuff. Now that we're out in the country and out of the city, we're up in the upper 80s to low 90s. Yeah, this is a great performance from this card, and you can see there is no CPU bottlenecking happening. This is GPU is at 99%. This is definitely if you've got a Vega and paired with an X99 chip, you're probably going to do pretty well in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. And I'll tell you, it took me about 150 hours to complete this one. So that is a lot of gameplay, things to see and things to do in this game. Another great showing from Vega on Linux. And now we have Test System 4 with the Ryzen 5 5500 and Intel Arc A770. Again, the A770's challenge is to be as good as or better than the Vega 64. And we are at the same settings. We are at 1080p medium. Yeah, so you can see here it says VRAM is about 3.2 gigs. And you saw from the Vega thing it's about 4, so it is a little bit... it does use a little bit more than it says in the menu. Now you can see here the frame time graph is all cross-hatched, bumpy over there. I don't know how it recorded. The recording looks a little juddery, but when I was playing it, it felt smooth. So I'm not sure if this is just a problem in the overlay or desktop or what. But it is showing an uneven frame time graph, but it didn't feel bad when I was playing it, for what that's worth. But we are... It looks like we are about 10 frames behind the Vega 64 at the same settings. With a better CPU. We are not CPU bottlenecked here. This is straight up, it is fully stressed. So, it's very good that it works this well. I don't know if lowering the settings would improve the frame rate much, if that would induce CPU bottleneck. Probably not. This seems like it's a pretty optimized game, at least for DirectX 12 capable GPUs. Definitely disappointing that it can't beat the Vega, but not disappointing performance. I feel like this would definitely work if you're playing at a higher resolution. You probably won't even see too much performance degradation. We'll have to lower some settings probably, but like 1440p, because there are clearly unused resources on this A770. Again, you can see power draw is only about 140 watts, and this is a 220 watt GPU, so there's clearly the render queue is full, but it can't address all the processing cores. And that's partly architecture, partly driver. Might even be primarily architecture, because this problem shows up a lot with Intel Arc. I have the A770, that is. So again, it felt smooth while I was playing it. I know the frame time graph doesn't look good. That's just something to keep an eye on. It would probably smooth out if I turned on VSync, but this is a benchmark video, so of course I'm going to run it uncapped. Decent performance from the Intel Arc A770. Would have wished for a little bit more frames. If it performed the way it did in Doom, I would have expected it to see it about 100 FPS, a little bit better than Vega. Unfortunately, that's all I got for you today, folks. It's very unfortunate that the R9 290 didn't run the game at all, and it's unfortunate the GTX 1060 kept crashing. As for the rest, the Vega 64 reigned supreme again. Intel Arc A770, decent performance, not as good as Vega. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and thanks for watching.